Hi everybody, I'm Gwen and welcome to At Home with Gigi. I'm so happy to have you here today. Thanks so much for stopping by. And today's video is part of a collaboration with a wonderful group of ladies, and it's called Christ is Risen Indeed, and we are going to share with you some fantastic, inspirational DIYs, and some of mine were inspired by pictures I saw on Pinterest. If I can find them again, I will link them down below. So I hope that you'll stick around and let me know what you think about these DIYs, and I will tell you more about the collaboration in just a bit. Now let's get started. Our first project is going to be a beautiful picture, and we're going to start by using this canvas from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to go ahead and remove that plastic, and I've added a layer of Mod Podge and let it dry completely, and we're going to be using the iron-on method. And we're going to attach this gorgeous sheet of music. I simply printed it out on my computer and I purchased it from Etsy for I think it was less than $3. And it's Amazing Grace, and it's got those beautiful roses on it. I just absolutely fell in love with it when I seen it on Etsy. And I'm just lining it up as best I can. And then, like I said, we're going to use the iron-on method. Y'all know if you watch any of my videos that I love this method. It gives you such a smooth, clean finish. You let your Mod Podge dry, you put your paper, tissue, whatever you're going to use down, and then you cover it with parchment paper. And then I like to just start in the center and work my way around the whole surface, and it reactivates that Mod Podge. And see what I mean by what a beautiful smooth finish, no wrinkling, it's just gorgeous. And then I just use my favorite method of removing excess paper, my little finger sander, and I just go around and just sand. Well, it doesn't look like I'm doing it here, but you sand down away from your project. That way you don't tear your paper. I've already sanded down the cross to remove any rough edges. And y'all, I can't remember where I got this cross from. I've had it for so long. And I'm going to give it one good coat of the Waverly chalk paint in truffle. Once the paint dries, we're going to give our cross a faux crackle finish. And if you've watched any of my videos before, you know that I've done this before, and I absolutely love how it looks. And I seen an article or a post on Pinterest, and it suggested doing it a little bit differently. So this time, of course your cross is dried, and this is the amount of glue that they say to use, but it's just way too much for this little cross. So I don't use all of it, but I do use a very, very generous amount. And I just make sure I put an even layer over the entire cross, and it does get all over the sides, so I did go back with a wipe and just clean all that up off camera. But usually I go right in after a couple of minutes with my paint, but this post suggested that you wait up to 30 to 45 minutes depending on how thick your layer of glue is. So I waited 45 minutes before I went in with my paint, and I cannot wait for y'all to see this finish. For the color of my paint, I simply mixed together some Rust-Oleum white linen and then cameo pink and sun-kissed peach, I believe it is, from Apple Barrel. And as you can see, the glue has started to set up after 45 minutes on the cross. And the idea is to get enough paint on your brush to be able to cover the surface that you're painting in one stroke. And as you'll see right here, I didn't have enough paint, so I'll go back and get a little bit more and then do one more stroke over the length of the cross. And it's better if you only go over your surface maybe 2 to 3 times if possible, because the more you go over it, the more you will mix the glue and the paint together, and it will lessen the crackle effect. After I finished painting it, I literally set it aside and left it alone for 2 days and just let it completely cure and set up. And this is what it looks like after about 5 minutes. I cleaned up everything, and it is starting to crackle already. And I cannot say enough how much I love it. We're also going to add this little wooden sign to our project, and this came from Hobby Lobby, and I believe it comes in like a pack of 6. And I'm just using Waverly antiquing wax and just dipping a baby wipe in it and then just wiping over the surface of the little sign. You could paint this as well if you don't want to use antiquing wax, or you could just leave it the natural color. I'm going to attach the He is Risen sign to the front of the cross, but I want it to have a 3D effect, and I'm going to use these little tiny clear beads, and I'm just going to hot glue them to the back of the He is Risen sign. Can we just take a moment and appreciate the crackles on this cross? I am loving this new technique. The other technique that I use, you put the glue down and wait a couple of minutes, and then you go ahead and do the paint, and it gives it much smaller crackles. And y'all, I love this. I think I'm going to be using this technique more often. I'm going to use hot glue, a pretty generous amount of hot glue, to attach the cross to the front of the sign. Now, you're welcome to use your favorite glue, and if I'd had the time for it to set up, I probably would have used my favorite Gorilla Gel glue, but I needed this to set up pretty quickly, so I'm just using hot glue. But as I said, I'm using a pretty generous amount. I did get my cross off just a little bit, and I even put my little marks on there where I wanted it to go. But anyway, that's what you get when you rush. But I think it still looks pretty good. I just wish it had been down just a little bit more. As you can see, I am pushing down pretty firmly. I just want to make sure that my cross is not going to pop back up. And then I'm just using the smaller glue gun just to add just tiny amounts of glue to the back of those little beads. As you can see, the honey is supervising. I love to repurpose old picture frames, and I've had this for a while and just been waiting for an opportunity to use it. The back had fallen off and it was looking a little sad, and when I decided to make this project, I was like, this is the perfect picture frame. I love the gold kind of antique-y looking color of the frame, and I thought it just complemented the rest of the project just perfect. Now, to cover up the back, I just cut down a piece of black poster board and just used a combination of super glue and hot glue, and just to hold everything in place and just make it look all nice and finished. Yeah, this project was just so simple and easy to do, but I think it turned out so beautiful, and the Amazing Grace just speaks to my heart. It's one of my favorite songs, and you know, if it wasn't for God's amazing grace, where would any of us be? But tell me what you think about it. What do you think about the He is Risen 3D effect on the cross? I would love to hear your thoughts. I just want to take a moment and tell you about the collaboration that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. And the host for today is Linda at FaithChick777 DIY and Favi at Arrows DIY. These are lovely, lovely, talented ladies. Please go over and check them out. I'll have their YouTube channels and this playlist listed down in the description box. Make sure you click on that. Go show everybody some love. Tell them I said hi. If you're here from the collaboration, hi, hello, I'm Gwen. Welcome to At Home with Gigi. Thanks so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Now let's hop back into the video. For this DIY, we're using this egg-shaped board and cutting board from the Dollar Tree. And the cutting board's going to be our base. So I'd originally planned to give both of them a coat of Waverly chalk paint and plaster, but I ran out of that. So I had to paint the cutting board Rust-Oleum white linen, but you can't really tell, as you can see here, and that's going to be covered up later. And like I said, I'm going to use the cutting board as a base. I got the honey to use the drill for me and just add 2 screws in the front and then 2 screws in the back just to hold it in place. I wanted to distress my wood piece just a little bit. So I'm using just a kitchen sponge from the Dollar Tree that I've cut up into little pieces. And the paint that I'm using is Waverly Chalk Paint Elephant and Ivory. Like I said, I ran out of the plaster, and I kind of mixed them together, and I kept going back and forth trying to get the color I was looking for. Didn't really get it. I probably should have used the Rust-Oleum white linen, but between that and using a little bit of water, as you can see in my spray bottle, because I am really heavy-handed when I'm distressing. I don't know why, but I get really heavy-handed. Anybody else do that? But anyway, I just kept going back and forth, spritzing it with the water, thinning it out, and adding in a little bit more of the ivory to tone down some of that elephant gray. We're going to make 3 crosses for our project using these faux Jenga blocks from the Dollar Tree. And I believe I used 44. And I've just placed them in this metal pan, and I brewed a really strong pot of hot coffee. And I just poured it over. Be careful if you're using hot coffee like I am. And I let these set for 2 days. And I just kind of used a spoon and stirred them over the 2 days. You can see it's a beautiful color. I'm using hot glue to glue the blocks together, but you can use wood glue, whatever you prefer. I just needed this to set up really quickly. And for 2 of the crosses, I'm going to use 5 sets of 2 for the length, and then 1 set of 2 on each side for the arm. But one of the crosses, I will be using 6 to make it just a little bit longer. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. I'm just lining it up along the length of my L-shaped ruler just to make sure I'm keeping everything nice and straight. As you can see, that's the little bit bigger one there in the center. I just added an extra set of 2 to make it a little longer. Yo, I really did go back and forth over my decision to paint these crosses because I love the coffee stained effect, but I just felt that in the end, the brown just did not go well with the flowers that I'm going to be using. So I wasn't exactly sure where I was going when I started with this, but I did know that I did not want to paint it a solid color. So I'm just using a mixture of mineral ink and elephant from Waverly Chalk Paint, and the white is the Rust-Oleum white linen. And so I just started by pouncing the mineral over the cross just to see what look I would get. And y'all, I just kept playing with the colors and pouncing and mixing them. So y'all just hang in there with me, because I promise you, you're going to love how they look in the end.
I know that it gets tough sometimes, so I need to remind you, love. The sun will shine on you wherever you go, wherever you go. And when it gets dark, stay strong. You're never alone. You're never alone. The sun will shine. The sun will shine. Yeah. The sun.
Not sure if it's showing up on camera, but in some of the little crevices where I didn't get it covered with paint, which I did on purpose, it looks a little bit like rust from the coffee stain, and I love it. But I also went back over some of the edges with a baby wipe just to remove some more of that paint. And y'all, I love how these look. And I just added popsicle sticks with hot glue to the back of each of the crosses. That way I can slide them down into the foam that I've already placed, and I hot glue that down the base of the sign. And I'm just sliding this in. I kind of wish I had not hot glued them to begin with. That way I could have adjusted them later, but oh well, what you gonna do? And then I'm just adding in bits and pieces of greenery that I have left over from various projects. And here you can completely make this your own. Use whatever greenery that you might have on hand. This piece was inspired by a picture that I saw on Pinterest, but I decided to give it my own little twist. You know, you can always do that. You see something that you like, but you can always just tweak it, twist it just a little bit and make it your own. And I decided the flowers that I was going to use were tulips, daisies, and lavenders. And I thought this purple tulip was just so beautiful. And these came from Amazon. But the tulip stands for perfect love and God's perfect love for us. He died on the cross for us, and then he rose again so that we might have eternal life. And the daisies that I'm going to use also represents hope and innocence and faith, our faith in God and his unchanging, never-ending love for us. And I just thought these were just so beautiful and just added such a perfect touch to this. And I hope that you think so as well. Y'all, I got so caught up in making this piece, adding in my greenery and my flowers, I totally forgot to cover the floral foam with moss before I started. But I just used hot glue and then using my little spatula there and just pressed it down. And just be careful you don't burn your fingers, because I sure burnt my fingers several times doing this. And I'm just adding in these little sprigs of lavender, and these came from the Dollar Tree. And if I forgot to tell you, the daisies came from Walmart, but I've had these for a couple of years now, and finally dug them out of my stash to use in this project. So I wanted to add just a bit of a fun, whimsical touch to this project. And if you watch my videos, you know I love to craft with napkins. Isn't this napkin beautiful with these lavender flowers? This came from eBay, and it was Napkin World, and I love to get my napkins from there. But anyway, we're going to decoupage one of those large styrofoam eggs from the Dollar Tree. And as you can see, I originally started cutting out each of the flowers, and I was just like, I just don't care for the straight edges it was giving me. Sometimes it's okay, but I'm going to use my favorite method whenever I decoupage, and that's just using a tiny paintbrush and some water, and then just going around each of the flowers. Yes, it takes a little bit of time, but it is so worth it to get the uneven edges. It just makes for a much better project, in my opinion. I've already given the egg a coat of Rust-Oleum white linen, let that dry, and now I'm just going to work in sections, put down a layer of Mod Podge, and then just add little strips of my napkin. And I like to use a combination of brush and plastic wrap to help smooth out my napkin. It just really helps get out the air bubbles and helps really cut down on the wrinkling. And you can also use your fingers as I'm doing here as well. I kind of use all three. Once I finished adding all the pieces of the napkin to the egg, I did go back over the whole egg and I added another layer of Mod Podge to the entire thing, just to make sure all of the napkin was sealed in and nothing was going to come up. So I want to add a little bit of embellishment to the egg, so I'm just using this lace from Amazon, and we're going to be using this purple ribbon I believe that came from Walmart, and I've attached a safety pin to the end of the ribbon just to help me run it through those little holes in the lace. Once I get the lace and the ribbon to the length that I want, I'm just going to use just a tiny bit of hot glue and just to hold that ribbon in place. I am going to use hot glue to attach the lace and ribbon to my egg, but I'm using just a tiny, tiny bit because I do not want it to come through that ribbon and lace.
Sometimes so I need to remind you, love. The sun will shine on you wherever you go, wherever you go. And when it gets dark, stay strong. You're never alone. You're never alone. The sun will shine. The sun will shine, yeah. The sun will shine. The sun will shine, yeah. The sun will shine. The sun will shine.
I'm just going to insert the bamboo skewer in the bottom of my egg. The hole was already there from when I painted it, so I'm just popping it right back in that same hole, and it's going to help keep it in place in my arrangement. I just happened to find these little tiny sprigs of daisy in my never-ending tote of flowers and added those in along with some more of the lavender just to fill in any holes that might have been left. And y'all, I really do love this. I know I say that about my projects all the time, but some you love and then some you really love. And I am really loving these crosses. I didn't know if I had made the right decision in painting them, but I really like how they turned out. But tell me what you think. Should I have left them the coffee stained color, or do you think I made the right decision in painting them? For this project, we're going to be using this grapevine wreath from Michael's, I believe it is, and I'm showing you a variety of greenery, but in actuality, the only greenery that I used from this pile is going to be the fern leaves. And yes, I know my grapevine wreath looks wild and crazy, and usually I clean it up and clip all those little twigs and things off, but I decided I wanted the wild and untamed look for this project. But let me tell you guys, this was one messy wreath. I was beginning to regret my decision about halfway through this project because this was one messy wreath.
Gonna stay in this moment. Gonna lay here on the grass. I don't need to feel lonely.
These flowers came from the Dollar Tree, although they were from last year. I do know they have them this year because I did have to go back and buy more just to fill in my wreath, because this wreath, I believe it's an 18-inch wreath, and it is just huge.
No, no. 'Cause the best thing about it
As part of this collaboration, we were asked to share one of our favorite Bible verses, and one of my favorite verses is, "If God is for us, who can be against us?" And it's from Romans 8:31, and it just means so much to me, that Bible verse. And when I was looking on Pinterest for inspiration for this video, I've come across this wreath, and it had this exact Bible verse, and I was like, it was just meant to be. And so I created the little verse and sign on Canva, and I'm going to print it out on this sheet of tissue paper. It's just tissue paper like you'd use in a gift bag. I'm wrapping it around a sheet of printing paper. The key to doing this and making it come out well and not jam your printer up is to wrap it as snugly and tightly as you can around that sheet of paper, and just making sure your tape is smoothed down completely. As you'll see here in a minute, I really go over it and just really rub, and I use a ton of tape. Don't mind the paper under the tissue, that's just a scrap sheet of paper. So I've already cut out my sign, and we're going to use the iron-on method like we did in our first DIY. And this is my favorite way to Mod Podge. It is just so easy, and it's wrinkle-free, and gives you such a nice, smooth, clean finish. I'm just using my little finger sander again just to remove that excess tissue paper, and see how easily it comes off, and it gives it just a clean, smooth finish. These two sticks were originally paint stir sticks, and they were left over from a project that went wrong, and I had painted them, and then I did the faux crackle technique on them, and I'm just going to glue them together to create a cross for my wreath. I'm going to add a little bit of this pit berry, and I believe this came from the Dollar Tree, and I've just looped it several times in a circle, and then just used the ends to just tie it around itself. And then I'm just going to place it right in the center of the cross using hot glue.
Gonna stay in this moment, gonna lay here on the grass. I don't need to feel lonely, I am finally home at last.
Now I'm going to be using hot glue to attach the cross to the wreath, but if you choose, you can always use something with a little stronger hold like E6000 Gorilla Gel Glue, or you could even tie it on if you wanted to switch the cross out later for something else, or just have the wreath by itself. And also, as you can see, I have already attached my bow. Now, this is not the ribbon I originally planned to use. The other ribbon that I had ordered just didn't work out, and I was running out of time to get this project completed, so I went with this. So tell me what you think about the purple polka dot ribbon. It really is a very beautiful, deep purple color. It is just a gorgeous ribbon. The bow was a little squished, so I gave it a good fluffing. I definitely had to add in more flowers and greenery, because once I hung it up, you could really tell that it needed more flowers and greenery, or at least to me, because y'all know I love a full, lush wreath or anything like that. And I'm loving this, from the cross and the beautiful scripture on it. Yeah, I just love this, and I think it is just so perfect for Easter.
To feel lonely, I am finally home at last. And I don't mind being gone on adventures for a while.
Thanks so much for stopping by. I really, really appreciate it. If you're here from the playlist, a great big welcome to you again. Thank you so much for coming over and watching my video. If you liked it, I hope you'll take the time to hit that like button, and why not go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's absolutely free, but seriously, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to my returning subscribers. I love y'all so much. Thank you for all your support. I truly appreciate it, and I will see y'all next time. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.
So many times my feet know every brick and stone could wear a blindfold.